Hello, welcome back to Renal Diet HQ. Today we're going to make this radish, apple, and spinach salad. It's super easy. We make our own dressing, so it's low sodium, very healthy salad, and it's just perfect for that time of year when the radishes and the apples are fresh and you can have a delicious salad either as a side dish or as your meal. So let's get started. Hi there, I'm Mathia Ford with Renal Diet HQ, and today we're going to make a very simple but delicious radish, apple, spinach salad. So we are going to use spinach, radishes, apples. For the dressing, we use apple cider vinegar, we use some honey, we use oil, and we have black pepper and Dijon mustard. What you may not know is Dijon mustard is actually an emulsifier, which means it kind of holds the dressing together so it doesn't separate as easily into the oil and the vinegar. So we're gonna put this together real quick and have a taste. The first step is to cut the tops off the radishes, cut the little tail on the bottom, and then slice them in very thin slices. You can see these are very thin slices. I just did that by hand, but these are very thinly sliced. And then the apples, this is about a half an apple. It's a cup of apple. All I did was cut it into really thin, kind of thinner slices, and then diced it. I make it small so it's crunchy still, but it's got a lot of flavor that it can pull up from the spinach and the radishes. All right, the first step is to make the dressing, and I like to just use a mason jar with a lid. If you have some other way to do that, that's fine. Putting in the apple cider vinegar, our olive oil, our honey, a little bit of sweetness, and then the Dijon mustard and the pepper. I know some people, I thought radishes were very bitter, but in my experience with this recipe, they're very mild. So even if you don't think you would like radishes, if somebody gave you some or you're enjoying, growing them, then I would suggest you try this recipe because it's very simple. And the radishes, like I said, are very mild. So all we're gonna do is shake this up. I'm really just trying to make sure the honey and the oil and everything is all combined. There you go. So that's our dressing. We'll use that in just a minute. So the next step, I am going to take the spinach and I'm going to tear it into smaller pieces. You don't have to do this. I just like it for when I'm eating it, but also it helps it to absorb the flavors. So I'm just going to tear it. Doesn't have to be a bunch of pieces. Doesn't have to be super small. And again, this step can be optional if you don't want to do it. Spinach can be bitter. Radishes, do have a little bit of tang to them, but we're going to massage the spinach and the radishes with the dressing, which I think helps to make this less bitter spinach. This is 2 servings worth, so you're actually getting a pretty big size salad. You may decide that's all you want for your meal. Obviously, you can make it larger too if you want. So my spinach is torn. I'm just going to add the apples and the radishes. Kind of mix it up a little bit. Then we're going to put in this dressing that we just made. Nice and fresh, low sodium dressing. I like to scrape every bit of goodness out of the jar. Then I'm going to mix it around a little, but then I'm going to spend 1 to 2 minutes massaging the dressing into the spinach and the radishes. So all you do is you're just going to, if you've ever seen me massage kale, I have a kale recipe on this channel that I show you how I massage, but really I'm just gently rubbing the spinach, kind of rubbing that dressing into it, it reduces the bitterness. And it kind of gets that dressing over everything too. So it's plenty of dressing. It helps you, make sure your radishes aren't sticking together when you sliced them. Obviously, I washed my hands before I started, so. Okay, there's our massage salad. And I'm gonna wash my hands and get a bite. All right, we just finished mixing up our salad. And like I said, this is 2 servings, so I'm gonna try to grab about half. It's very much apple radish. You have a lot of that. There's your serving of your apple radish salad. And let's give it a taste. That dressing has a little bit of tang with the apple cider vinegar. Again, it's crunchy. The spinach is delicious with it. It's just such a great pair. I love it.